All right. So that's the slide that I want to show you. Okay, so we start today with a new chapter, which is chapter 7, cellular respiration. All right. So the first subtopic for this chapter is production of energy through cellular respiration. Okay, sorry. Before that, what we're going to learn in this subtopic about the production of energy, you need to know the main substance for cellular respiration. Cellular respiration is actually a process. Okay, cellular respiration is a process. So in order to do this process, we need a substance or input. So substance for this process is glucose. Okay, that's we're going to look at it later on. And then you need to know what type of cellular respiration. Okay, that's we're going to discuss also later on in the next slide. Okay, that's all for 7.1. So to start, we already learned in chapter 5 about the metabolic reaction. Okay, metabolic reaction, and as you already learned, metabolic reaction, there are two types of metabolic reaction, which is catabolism and anabolism. So catabolism is about keta, to split the complex substance, to split, okay, to break down. This more like breakdown process. So this catabolism, it's a process of breakdown of substance, and it release energy. While for anabolism is to combine substance. So it will use energy. So having said that, use energy mean we need energy. So in order to get energy means we need to produce or synthesize energy. So how do we produce energy or synthesize energy? Is through process of cellular respiration. All right, cellular respiration. Okay. So now whenever I said cellular respiration, you need to understand we are talking about energy production. Okay. So why do we need energy? Why do we need energy? Just now we said we need energy for anabolism. What is the examples for anabolism in our body? Anabolism process is like protein synthesis. That is the one example of anabolism. So meaning that when we want to synthesize a protein, we need energy. So how do we get energy? From the cellular respiration. All right. So cellular respiration, in other words, we can understand it as a glucose oxidation or glucose breakdown. Why is that so? Because in order to cellular respiration to happen, it needs a glucose. Okay, it needs a glucose. Okay, before that, before we go to this glucose thing, some of you might know that respiration is related to breathing. Okay, respiration is related to breathing. But I haven't mentioned anything about breathing when I said about cellular respiration. Well, there are difference between that two actually. Respiration that related to what relation of respiration and breathing. When you said respiration is breathing, that is actually extracellular respiration. Extracellular respiration. Extracellular respiration is a breathing process where we take in oxygen and we breathe out carbon dioxide. That is a breathing, that is a extracellular respiration. Okay, extracellular respiration. But now we are talking about cellular respiration, meaning that it happens in cell. The respiration itself happen in cell. Okay, again, cellular respiration is about energy production. Okay, what's with this glucose oxidation and glucose breakdown? Now let's go to the next slides. Okay, glucose. Glucose is the main substance for cellular respiration. Okay, for cellular respiration. Okay, having said that means when I said cellular respiration, it starts with glucose will react with oxygen to produce ATP. This is sorry. Okay, this is more like the conclusion of what is cellular respiration is. Cellular respiration is where the glucose react with oxygen to produce ATP. Again, that is why in the previous slide, I said cellular respiration is energy production. Okay, energy production is here, ATP. And then cellular respiration is also about glucose oxidation. What is glucose oxidation? Okay, I know you had learned in chemistry. In chemistry, anything that react with oxygen, we call it oxidize. The substance is oxidized. So that is why in the previous slide, I said cellular respiration is glucose oxidation because the glucose is react with oxygen. Okay, so glucose react with oxygen, so we call it as glucose oxidation. Whenever we said glucose is react with oxygens, meaning that glucose itself, it can undergo the process of glucose breakdown. Okay, glucose, the apa tadi persamaan the equations for glucose, equation is it CHO 6 12 6. Okay, this is a glucose and this glucose will undergo a breakdown process. So that is why cellular respiration, I said cellular respiration is actually, whenever we said cellular respiration is involved in glucose oxidation. Okay, glucose oxidation, and then cellular respiration can also be said as ATP synthesis or ATP energy production. Okay, and cellular respiration can also be known as a process of glucose breakdown. Okay, is there any questions so far?
No.
No.
Okay, next. Cellular respiration happens in humans and animals and also in green plants. Again, what is cellular respiration? Siapa boleh bagi tahu?
Energy production.
Yes. So, cellular respiration is energy production. Lagi? Ada 3 tadi tu yang teacher bagi tahu.
Glucose oxidation.
Okay, glucose oxidation meaning that the glucose is react with oxygen, glucose oxidation. And the third one, cellular respiration also means glucose
Breakdown.
breakdown. Okay, so this thing happen in humans and also plants. So when I said just look at this, the second one, glucose oxidation means it needs oxygen. So logically, human we breathe in oxygen. So that means that is why we breathe. Okay, sebab itu kenapa kita bernafas? Because we want to oxidize the glucose. Where, okay, now we are talking about humans first. Where we get the glucose? Where are the source of glucose in our body? In where we get this? Yes, where we get this glucose?
Food.
Food, yes. So the basic of life, meaning in order we said in the basic needs in our lives, we need oxygen, we need food. Kenapa perlu makan? Kenapa perlu bernafas? Because of this process, the glucose oxidation in order to produce energy. We eat food because we want to get the glucose. We breathe because we want to get the oxygen so that the glucose can be oxidized and in under the process of cellular respiration we're gonna get energy. Why do we need energy? Because again, in our body, we need this to do this anabolism process, and then we need energy to do a daily life activities. We need in order to walk, in order to sit, in order to touch, okay, and move our hands and all that. You know, even when we think, we also need energy. Okay, so you can see the reason behind all this. Why we need food. Why do we need to breathe? Because of the glucose oxidation. Because we need to produce energy. So that is what happened in humans. So meaning that in plants, we know plants they produce or they synthesize oxygen. They release oxygen. So cellular respiration, they need oxygen. Boleh nampak kan beza dia? Plant is release, tapi at the same time, plant also need oxygen. Alright. Okay, biasanya kita akan cakap plant also also need. Plant basically need carbon dioxide to do photosynthesis. Okay, itu yang kita faham lah. Memang betul. Tapi plant also needs oxygen. Why do plants need oxygen? For the cellular respiration. Why do plants need to do the cellular respiration? Because to produce or synthesize energy. Okay. Before we go deeper, I'm going to write down this for plant because students always get confused with plants. Okay, plants. First, we know basically plants, they do a photosynthesis. Photosynthesis, it needs sunlight, of course, sunlight and carbon dioxide and water. And later on, they will produce. Okay, what is the product of photosynthesis, class?
Food.
What? Product of photosynthesis. Anyone?
Oxygen.
Oxygen, yes. Oxygen lagi. Ay, photosynthesis ni, the basic one. Plant do photosynthesis in order to Kenapa plant? Why do plants do this photosynthesis?
Eat.
When we eat, we need
Food.
food. What is the type of food in plants?
Glucose.
Glucose. Sikit sebut ni glucose. Okay, teacher tidak clear tadi. Okay, glucose, which is CHO. 6 12 6. Okay, so glucose. This is photosynthesis. Okay, now we're talking about plants. Okay, that is photosynthesis. So in cellular respiration, sorry, in cellular respiration, now we're talking about cellular respiration. Okay, what I said just now, sekejap ah. Kasi beza dulu. Box. Okay, now we're talking about cellular respiration. Apa tadi? Cellular respiration is glucose oxidation. What is glucose oxidation? Glucose plus oxygen. Okay, so we haven't discussed about this yet, but after glucose oxidation or after cellular respiration, we're gonna get carbon dioxide, water, and of course, energy in the form of ATP. So, what I'm trying to show you is that, okay, let's put it as a blue color here. Whatever a product of this photosynthesis, which is glucose and oxygen, is actually is a substance or input in cellular respiration. Boleh nampak kah? Maksudnya, in plants, whatever it produce in photosynthesis, the plants we're gonna use it back in cellular respiration. Itu yang teacher mau tunjukkan lah. In plants also do these two process, which is photosynthesis and cellular respiration. So photosynthesis, the product is glucose and oxygen. But during cellular respiration, plants also use back the glucose and oxygen. But this oxygen actually, plants also take the oxygen from the environment, from the atmosphere. Since the plants is so abundance, banyak, jadi it will release to the environment for us or for our other organism to use that oxygen. But also actually plants also needs oxygen. Boleh? Do you get what I'm trying to explain to you?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. So actually, you don't have to get confused. So just now focus on the cellular respiration. Okay. So cellular respiration, there are two types of cellular respiration, which is the first one, aerobic respiration. And then the second one is anaerobic respiration. Okay. Again, whenever you, since this is the first time you learn about cellular respiration, I'm gonna say it again and again, so you going to remember. Cellular respiration is energy production, okay, which in the form of ATP. Okay, energy production in the form of ATP. Okay, and then it's also means glucose oxidation. And it also means glucose production. Glucose breakdown. Okay, so it breaks into two types of cellular respiration, aerobic and anaerobic. Aerobic stand for air. So actually aerobic respirations, it needs oxygen. Anaerobic, it doesn't need oxygen. Okay, ataupun cara senang mau ingat, aerobic, sorry. This is taking this tips from during the KBSM, so it's in BM. So aerobic, so aerobic ada oksigen. Okay, so anaerobic, anaerobic means no oxygen. Dia macam tu lah, campur-campur lah. Okay, ada BM, ada BI. So aerobic is involved in the presence of oxygens. So while for anaerobics, in the absence of oxygens, tiada oxygens. Okay, that's the basic difference between these two. Okay, so here fermentation, under the anaerobic respiration, there is a process of fermentation. So meaning that fermentation happen with no oxygens or limit of oxygen supply. All right. This fermentation we discuss in the next, the last subtopic, which is 7.3. Okay, nanti kita akan tengok lebih detail. For now, that is the cellular respiration. That is, you need to know what is a cellular respiration. Okay, cellular respiration is energy production. And what are the main substance for cellular respiration? Apa main substance dia?
Glucose.
Glucose, right. And what are the types of respirations? Aerobic and anaerobic.
Oh.
All right. So that's all for 7.1.